Wow, isn't that an AI sounding kind of voice? Did you hear that recording in
I
progress?
did hear that. I was hoping it was your sultry voice that was going to say recording in
Sorry,
progress.
man. That's how we are. I think we've gotten pretty used to that too. As a matter of fact, funny enough. Oh, by the way, everybody, this is Steve. Steve is back, but this time he's not here with me in Hawaii. He is somewhere in Los Angeles. I think like more like Wilshire District or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, I felt
Yeah.
so like it was clandestine or something when you said somewhere in Los Angeles,
Yeah.
like I was doing some top secret shit, which is not true. But yeah, anyway, hello.
Yeah, no, funny. We were just, when it started, this is now recording, whatever. We've gotten kind of used to that AI voice, though. It's become a thing. As you know, everybody's now either tried it or subscribed to it, and you can change all the voices and stuff. It's kind of trippy, but it's the way the world's moving now, isn't it?
Yeah, I think you got to kind of jump on board, right? It's like you got to adjust to it and adapt to it. And I mean, not to, I don't think we want to go into a whole AI thing, but I think the cool thing is everybody's got their reasonings of what they're doing with AI and their morals and their ethics and the creativity and taking jobs, not taking jobs. So I don't know. I think AI has got a lot of amazing stuff that I'm excited about, honestly, and some stuff's just scary. So I guess it's both.
Well, you heard what happened to me, right?
Yes, but please remind me, refresh my memory.
I got AI'd into an advertising video about some kind of tea remedy on dementia, which I'm. I've had people leave comments going, "Now wait a second, Jeeves, maybe you did do that and you forgot." They have a lot
So
of people
did
have a
you?
great sense. No, no, but it's a trip. I can't find it, but people have screenshotted it. I've reported it to YouTube, and I really can't. I can't even find the company. Like if I was to go to the URL and then be able to email them and say, "Brah, WTF," or whatever the case is, it's still out there. Every now and then, I'm still getting it. And the only thing that's about it is that I think everybody's so AI aware
Hmm.
that now they look for the things where the mouth isn't syncing up, or if the messaging sounds like somebody from a non-English language, AI, a script into it. But yeah, look at that. It happened to me. There's a billion people on YouTube, and I get AI'd into this freaking dementia remedy tea thing, and it's
Yeah,
like,
couldn't happen to a better guy. I will say this.
thanks.
Please, if it comes through your algorithm again, please send it my way, or maybe you put a link up to it for people watching this so they could see it. Because I think that I'd probably be cracking up honestly from that. But I get it. Likeness, as far as the like ethical part, that shouldn't be happening for sure. So that's not funny. But just
Well,
because it happened to you to me is
this is the
funny.
very thing that Hollywood's been worried about.
Yeah.
In this case, I have no real recourse except for, hopefully YouTube does a full court press on this company to take it down. I don't have the money to hire an attorney or anything and go through this whole thing. And I think companies like that see that. They are some dumbass old guy drinking coffee, and we're going to AI his voice into an ad for obviously. I guess there are people out there in the holistic world or something like that, or in the world in general, that might buy into a tea that does this or does that or whatever. But,
Yeah.
that's the whole Hollywood fear, I believe, is, if they did it to me in an ad, then they could do it to Lawrence Welk. Oh, Lawrence Welk. Lawrence of Olivier.
Yeah, you could do it to anyone, I
Lawrence
guess is
Welk.
what you're saying. Yeah.
I don't know if Lawrence Welk is, anybody wants AI Lawrence Welk, unless it's a polka thing. But and be able to do that. I think, especially with Sora 2, that big run of things that was coming out where it's like Mr. Rogers and Tupac having a conversation.
Is that right?
Oh my God. And if you didn't know any better, because Sora is not removing the watermark, so it's definitely letting you know it's a Sora thing by this little jumping watermark. It's pretty extraordinary, and
Yeah, I think that's where the celebrities come in, like you're saying, like in Hollywood. And last year, all the SAG contracts and WAG, Writers Guild contracts, right? That's why they were so adamant about getting into the AI arena of protection for actors and writers, because here we are, right? Here we are, exactly what you're saying, and people are getting their likeness, and all these other people. And not, let's be real, people like Jennifer Aniston, who was in the tabloids forever, unfairly for sure, but like those kind of stars that are bigger, whoever the name these days is, right? They're the ones that are going to really get hit probably from this, right? And politics and all that kind of stuff. So I mean, we're already seeing all that, right? But I think to your point, Yeah, anyone and celebrity definitely is where people are going to go after it. So I think that's the protection of Hollywood, and it's real. I mean, obviously, I work in Hollywood in post production, but like that's a big deal, right? So
Yeah.
I think yeah. So there again is where's that moral line, like we were speaking about in the beginning of this conversation. Everyone's got their morals and their ethics, and some people care about that and some people don't. So I think it's an individual's choice to decide how and where and when they want to use AI, because there's no way it's stopping. AI is here and it's not going anywhere, right? So
Right.
I think for me, I'll just say, I guess we're going into AI after all, but and I'll be the first to say I was on the no AI for sure for a while, right? Like, no, I'm not touching AI. I'm not doing anything with AI. Now I was like, I'm gonna dive in, right? And I'm gonna learn about AI a little bit more and use some AI video, use AI for videos for some YouTube stuff I'm doing. I'm not taking work, so that's one of my things. I don't want to take work from anybody for sure. Like I think that's a big one for me. I think AI is a great tool to be able to cut down on time for us as individuals and whatnot. So I think there's a lot of great things about AI. And I think that, yeah, you can say likeness, that's a big deal. So I don't think anyone should be ripping off likeness. And that's the gray area because AI is training off of all our likeness of stuff we're putting on
Yeah.
the internet. So like that's I think the bigger discussion in a way as well. So how do we get to a point where everybody's protected, right? Like what's the fair way of that? And I don't know that you're gonna ever get there, but we can at least protect our own morality and ethics when we're using AI, if that all makes sense.
Well, no, it definitely makes sense. I think, it's fun to listen to you go through that transition because, you has nothing to do with your profession or anything. Just you have never been a YouTube guy. You've never been somebody to participate and open up your own profile and get into the social media conversation of opinion land and stuff like that. But in the last 4 or 6 months, you have. I've watched you dive into this, and and using AI to test things, to kind of imagine things. As a matter of fact, I just used ChatGTP to render me 4 different images based on a character that I'm developing for a new kids song, and I got these great images out of it, and I put it together, and I had people vote on it, and I just contacted an artist to draw me, hey, listen, this is kind of like what I'm looking at. So somebody who doesn't know, let's say, to communicate to an animator or a graphic illustrator, especially in the cartoon anime style world, I wouldn't know necessarily how to describe the things I want. But what had happened for me is I generated these graphics, sent it out to my friends, hey, which ones of these do you like? And then I was able to send it to him and say, hey, listen, this is really close to what I'm looking for. Details to the shell and this and that and the ocean, it's a sea turtle, et cetera. I said, but does this give you a good lead if I need A, B, C, and D from you? Because I'd much rather have you do it because you and I can have a working relationship, meaning me and this illustrator. And then I can make adjustments as I see fit. And he was just ecstatic. He definitely, as somebody who makes a living as an illustrator, was ecstatic. Not so much that I am hiring him, which I'm sure he is with that as well, but the fact that I was able to utilize AI as a form of giving the illustrator, a better example of what it
Just
is I
froze again. Can
wanted.
you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. You have froze up a bit. I'm
Oh,
telling
there
you.
you are.
Up there you are. Okay.
Go ahead. Yeah, it
So,
froze again. Sorry about that.
no, that's all right. So for you, I've been watching you use a particular company to test and put out the anime versions of, you telling storytelling, and so on and so forth. How has that been for you? Not so much in what are the results, but the kind of in the same way I framed it. How has that experience been? Learning how to prompt correctly to get the things that you want to represent the things in your thought, and then of course watching it come to pass. For somebody who's been like, so yeah, I don't want to do this, I don't want to do this, and your learning curve is coming a little later in your in your wisdom, a gray bearded moment in your life right now. How's that process been? Like actually somebody who's gone from no to like, this might be kind of fun for me to just get some ideas out of my head. How's that process been, the whole prompting and result thing?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. I just want to say real quick, I love that you're essentially using, I want to go back to you for 1 second if that's cool. You're using
It's
ChatGPT.
always cool when you go back to me. No, I'm kidding. Sorry.
Yeah, it's I think it's cool that you're essentially using ChatGPT, you know, whatever program somebody would use for previs to show the artist, right? That's what we call previs for, like, you know, whatever visual effects stuff and showing people an early stage of something. So I think that's cool that it's available for something like that, because you're like, okay, I want to be able to convey my thoughts better and give them to somebody that understands the creative process in a, you know, in a visual way, so I can help with them. So you're using it, in my opinion, in a fantastic way to use it. And then the artist is going to take that, and the artist is definitely going to do their own thing from it. But now they understand something maybe you couldn't have explained as well, because, you know, music you can explain in and out till, you know, the cows come home or whatever, but maybe not creativity in a visual aspect of trying to get a design drawn. So that's something I think is a positive of AI, is what I just want to say that. Anyway, all that to say, good for you that you're doing that, and I look forward to seeing the progress of that. Yeah, for me, I think the transition it's been fun, right? Like I was fighting it, like you said, fighting it. I don't want to touch AI. I'm not into social media. I'm not into YouTube, all that kind of stuff, in the sense of I'd rather be behind the scenes, you know. But for me, the direction was, I want to get stuff out for mental health. So as you told me, if I want to do that, I gotta, you know, get through that bullshit of my own. You can do it. Yeah. I gotta get through my own hurdles of, well, if you want to try to get stuff out there and you want to, you know, put out books and do, be a voice a little bit for people that don't have theirs in the mental health world, I got to get over my own hiccups of all that stuff. So the best way for me to learn that was to learn it and do it. So I started by just doing basic ChatGPT stuff as well. And then I started learning programs like Leo and Pixelogic and Midjourney and all those, because I wanted to kind of get a grasp of what they can actually do and how much effort it is, to be honest with you, and how good it is. And even from 4, 5, 6 months ago, or a little before that when I started, to now, I mean, it's already an explosion of, like, wow. In other words, the progression is unbelievable how quickly it's going, right? And I think I just started by probably what everyone else did. I went down the rabbit hole of, all right, let's just start Googling things and best ways to prompt and what am I trying to prompt, right? And obviously ChatGPT you can tell them, or tell ChatGPT something, and it will prompt for you. And then you got to deal with all the hallucinations of AI and all that. And how do you figure out workarounds?
Well, I don't know. The
that?
hallucinations of AI sometimes matches the hallucinations of humans as well.
Totally.
Depending what lens you're looking through.
This is true, right? But like, they've gotten way better at okay, now they're only doing 5 fingers instead of 7 fingers are coming up, right? And those kind of hallucinations, right?
In the meantime, you lose a token, right? Every time they F up, you lose a rendering token, right? Or something like, I think that's what they call it or something.
Yeah, that's it. It depends on what platform, but like, yeah, you use tokens to figure it out. So at first you're blowing through all this stuff because the free ones only get you so much, and then you got to do the smaller plans, and then as you do more stuff, you're going to increase the, you know, $20 a month for this plan, or 40 or whatever. So you got to kind of figure out what you're doing. So I guess to answer your question of how do I feel about the prompting, I think it's great. I think it's just like anything else. The more you do it, the more you learn, the better you get at it, right? So you can look all day long online and see how to prompt something, and that's fantastic. But if you're trying to get more specific, then you want to learn it so you know how to prompt. And I think I'm pretty good at prompting now. Don't get me wrong. I'm not like a professional prompter. I'm not a tech guy or a computer guy or anything like that.
What is a professional prompter? That in and of itself is an ever-going evolution of, like, you know.
Yeah, I just mean somebody that's like, that's their world, that's their life. They're they're programming, you know, programmers. Like, I'm not those guys, and I'm probably like not even that great, but my progression's been great just from learning it, right? So that's what I'm saying. So I think prompting's it's fun. It's fun to learn it and figure out. And I know I'm doing mine for mental health, right? And my videos are about mental health. So my prompting doesn't have to be like unbelievably elaborate, right? But you have to also keep in mind when you're doing videos, besides Sora 2, and maybe there's other stuff, I don't know, every platform, where you can go a little further in the sense of like time. Like most of the stuff I'm doing, the clips can go up to like 8 seconds. Now, yeah, you can manipulate that in editing and stretch it out and make it into 10, 20 seconds and stuff like that, and hope, you know, try to keep it as stable as you can. And, you know, there's obviously editing tricks and all that. So if I'm doing a 3, 4, 7, 9-minute video, how many clips do I need to do? And if I'm doing something that's trying to be a consistent video, meaning me and you are walking down the street, going all the way to grab something to eat, right? And it's a 9-minute thing, you got to know how to prompt that to make it look consistent, right? or so I think there's a
Right. Yeah.
lot to prompting, and that's what I've been learning, is how to make it efficient to make somebody want to watch and stay in tune with the videos, right? And I think the audio for me too is another thing, right? Is prompting. So I started, to be totally transparent, I started with AI audio, right? I used a program, whatever, and
Are you talking about to read the scripts?
no, for the videos. So yeah, exactly.
For the videos
Yes.
you did. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'd write the scripts, exactly. I'd write the scripts, right? And then I'd have AI read it, do the voice of it, right? For the first bunch, because I was trying to learn voice as well, voice over AI. And you have to learn to prompt that barely any. You just put it in and let it read it. And then, you mess with the levels and all that kind of stuff, and different modules and whatnot. But I'll be honest, as I progressed through the AI voicing, I started doing my own voicing, because I had you and someone else say, it'd be great to hear, because you're doing something with mental health, more of a human voice to it. And yeah, there's perfection probably in people that are doing the AI voicing, but I was like, all right, well, why don't I just use my voice and see if I can do it and practice that? So I think the AI audio has led me to wanting to do human voicing. So for me, the human voicing is way better as far as the emotionality of what I'm trying to do. So I absolutely,
yeah.
right. And that's the beauty of learning AI, right? So learning about the AI, instead of just jumping like I did, I'm guilty of, and going, no, AI, I'm not doing this. No way. It's taking jobs. It's doing, like, learn about it. It's like anything, just learn about it, research it, and then you can make your informed decision by it. So as far as the video stuff, I still love using those for my videos, but for the audio part, I honestly, I won't say never. Never's a long time, but I don't know that I'll ever go back to using AI audio for the mental health videos I'm doing now. I'll voice them, or I'll have other people voice them, because I do think there's a difference when it comes to the emotionality, and being able to teach that is way way more authentic for people.
Yeah, I actually did my very first. I did a little short on this same channel here on the Positive Wave Rider, and it's actually the very first time that I've ever done just a voiceover. It's just something I wrote. Usually I'm in it because it's all about me, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
But this time I said, I'm just going to do a little voiceover. I like the video image of me walking with this 360 lens, bubble thing I did, and the music that I had on there. And I did the voiceover. And I have to admit, also because I've done audiobook narrating and stuff like that. And A/B'd that, like a sample of that with some of the best audiobook. Sure, if you're not throwing darts like we are, because we're professionals in post-production, so we listen for things, we see for things, we look for nuances that we can kind of nitpick on and say, that doesn't sound right. The breathing is off, the tempo, the timing, the cadence, etc. Still yet, there's nothing better than the obvious connectivity of a human voice to the, whether sometimes it's a breath that you take that you just know it's not a mimicked breath, or a slow roll and rattle into the voice that brings into it and stuff. I'm sure it'll get better and better, but at least for myself, and I concur with you taking that other line and doing your own voice. Plus, I take it now you probably look at those videos knowing that's your voice, and probably have a different kind of creative connectivity to that, don't you? Because now it's your voice, and you now have something a little more vested in that video, instead of everything was scripted, created through AI, from voiceover to visual. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a valid point for me, for sure. I think, hearing it, I'm connected to it way more than I am with the AI voice, because I feel like I'm more part of the mental health world, to be honest with you, in that way, because I'm putting it out there with my voice. It's my words. Eventually I'll get to probably not using AI video. Honestly, I'll get to figuring out how to do it with people, and B-roll and all that stuff. So yeah, I think that's an important point you just made, actually, too. I think the connectivity of it, when it's a human thing, is definitely, and you're creating it, you just feel like, yeah, it's yours. It's not the AI's. So I think so. And I think just hearing, my voice or your voice, if it was you, if I have you do one or whoever, I'm personally going to connect with that more. And I can almost always tell when it's an AI voice. Not always. Sometimes I get fooled for sure. And I'm like, damn, that was good. But you could tell. So, yeah, I mean, honestly, let's be real. Some people got it down and they're pretty brilliant at doing it. But, I think, I connect more that way, especially in like deep human stories or stuff about depression. And you know what I mean? Like those kind of things, I want to hear the person. So yeah, I definitely feel better at doing it myself and connect more.
So now we've been kind of leaning into AI. I think we've already kind of talked about the AI impact with Hollywood and so on and so forth. And that in of itself is an exploration in action right now, because how and the why and the who and what's the best way to use it, et cetera, maybe what's the best way to use it and still stay in line with SAG and AFTRA and everything else that, everybody's worried about and being concerned about. I think what we'll probably see is just at least immediately, I don't know, and this is kind of like your world, kind of. I think for myself, intuitively, I'm thinking where AI is really going to kick in for motion pictures is the different kind of details that it takes to do things in green screen. Gladiators, actors doing this behind green screen. Well, now they could probably use AI, if they haven't been already, to generate the background art, if you would, maybe a little more detail. I don't know, but is that an understatement of what AI could possibly be doing in post-production, or are there other things that are out there that obviously, because I'm not in post-production, you are, I might not be seeing or knowing of the possibilities for post-production use?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a great question. I think it's going to progress as we go, right? I think you could take anything from production, just starting production, like storyboard artists, kind of like, I think storyboard artists, how easy is that now to just go on and do something on AI? And they probably were already to a degree, right? Doing that previs I was talking about before, like for visual effects, where they'll create slides, they'll create images, videos, whatever, and they'll do a previs for the creators, and producers, directors, whoever, showrunners, and they'll bring the previs. So AI essentially was already happening in a way. Now it's just exploding, right? And we're calling it AI now. But yeah, I think AI can, to a degree, I think it can eliminate a lot of things, right? Or it can limit the amount of hours you're going to need somebody in post-production now, right? Like as far as, let's just say, like a visual effects thing, or a green screen thing, like you're saying, you can now use AI in a way that you'll be able to take away some stunt people's probably work, and you can use an AI rendition to add to something that the stunt folks do, right? And face replacements and stuff like that, right? So essentially, one of the hardest things to do, my understanding, I'm not a visual effects producer, supervisor, or anything like that, but is doing a face replacement, right? So stunt person, let's say, does something, you're the actor, now we need to put your face on it, or something happens with the actor and they have to change actors halfway through a movie. Now we have to do some face replacement, stuff like that. So so now AI is probably already able to do that in a much better way than they used to be, right? So now that will take away man hours, women hours, whatever, from people that were going to do that in the visual effects world, right? So I think it's going to affect stuff like visual effects like that, if that makes sense, or just maybe not take away jobs, but create less hours for people that are already doing jobs. Does that make sense?
Well, you see, that's a really good point, because to me, the way I look at it is, would it not be up to the special effects and all the people that do that hardcore creating kind of to level, I don't know if you want to say level up, I don't want to offend anybody, but,
Sure.
Utilize the new tool in the box to their advantage. I have to liken it to the days in the late 70s when all the synthesizers and everything started coming out, and some of the unions, like the Local 47, was concerned that the process was that humans weren't going to get hired to play bass, because now this really, even though it sounded horrific, there was a big run of when the DX7 came out, and you can tell it was that bass and all that sort of stuff. But what happened is that even bass players were kind of, okay, well, if this is what they want, they still need a bass arrangement or something. If the producer is saying to a bass player, well, can you do this on a DX7? Not because we don't think you're a great bass player, but because that sound is kind of what everybody wants. So the bass player does its own arrangement on the DX7. Of course, that's a whole loaded conversation in the world of music. but I kind of see that as the thing is if any SFX individual or anybody that might have their position challenged by AI, maybe perhaps, and remember, this is, I'll say it this way, this is an ignorant point of view. I don't know. Is that the right word, ignorant? Yeah, I don't know. Because I don't know, I asked the question, would it not be?
Being like an armchair expert is what it is, I think, yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah, and or what I don't know is that would it be a benefit to these companies to start going, well, this is what's here, this is what is probably going to happen. We don't lose our older skill set, but now we're going to advance into this skill set, as long as we maybe stay in the confines of a SAG-AFTRA thing, like don't use the same looking extras in the last Gladiator movie. Like, for instance, I'm thinking what the dilemma is that whoever owns, I don't know how they say it in Hollywood, but the master print, like let's say Paramount owns this, that they can go ahead and train on the big, a Coliseum style backgrounds and then regenerate that for another movie. I believe that's what SAG and AFTRA and those folks are concerned about, is it not?
Well, I think they're probably, I don't know every detail probably, but I think they're concerned about people using your likeness too, right? Like now the studio can take something from, well, just go back to, for whatever reason, my mind's on Jennifer Aniston, maybe because I just was watching a podcast or something with her, but like take her likeness and now they can just use her likeness for anything. They could just take her and put her on a commercial ad without her permission, right? So I think there's a lot of likeness stuff. That's the big thing that SAG was doing amongst other things, but I think you bring up a valid point also with, I think it's going to depend on the individual and the studio and the people pulling the strings and all that, right? I think everyone's got a different take, and it goes back to what we were talking about earlier with ethics and morals and then the legality and all that stuff, right? So like some studios, or let's just go with creatives, right? There's going to be people like, I'm just throwing out an arbitrary name, but you got purists like Quentin Tarantino, let's say. I'm just throwing that name out, nothing to do with him. I don't know anything about him. I'm just using that as a reference because he's a purist in the way he does films, in my opinion, right? So like, I think he's going to want to use his staff and use his visual effects and use everybody and not use AI. So you have people like that are going to say, no, let's not use it at all, right? And then you're going to have the studios that are going to, well, we're going to use it. So I think it's going to come down to a lot of it of not necessarily what we can do, but what are we okay with doing, right? And what happens when you get into that battle? I'm kind of taking us on a side alley right now. What happens when you get into that battle, right? Like, what if like a Quentin Tarantino type guy's like, I'm not using AI at all, and the studio's like, we are. I mean, they're gonna let him probably get away with it because he's who he is, and he creates these unbelievable. He's one of the best guys out there as far as directing. So now you're gonna have to take individual stands of who's gonna battle against what. I think it becomes, right? Because yeah, AI is gonna be able to do just about anything. As far as like what we're talking about in the face replacements and visual effects stuff, as far as a lot of creativity of it all. But you're never gonna be able to replace people as far as like actors. AI's robots or whatever we want to say is gonna come out. You could do your AI videos. You're just not going to be able to replace, in my opinion, people like Meryl Streep or actors for that matter, right? You can't replace that emotionality, the connection on set, right? They have to. I mean, there's a reason they do chemistry tests before they hire even big actors. They'll do chemistry tests because they want to see they work, well together on screen and all that kind of stuff. So AI can't replace that, right? It's the same with like visual effects. You got to have let's say a visual effects editor, right? Who's essentially collaborating between a lot of people, right? Like between the editors, between post, between his people and the supervisors and the artists. Like AI is not going to be able to do that. Now, again, they might be able to cut down on some of the man-women hours of their job, sure. But I think to your point, I think a lot of people will welcome that part of it, as long as they're not losing hours where they can't get medical benefits and put food on their table for family, right? No,
but that's something that corporate might look at, going, "Ha, we can keep them under these hours, and we don't have to pay."
Right,
only because that corporate character or that corporate thing seems like they would. Here's another way to cut a corner, But.
Definitely, and that's one of the things in the SAG contract, if I remember correct. No, sorry, the WGA and the Writers Guild is. There used to be so many more writers in a writer's room, and the studios were limiting that and saying, nope, we're only giving you whatever it is, like 2, let's say. I'm just, again, an arbitrary number, but and that's one of the things they were trying to battle with, if I remember correctly, for the WGA contracts a year ago, was they're like, no, we need more writers in there. And it wasn't because necessarily they need more writers for the creative process. It's because the people are trying to protect the writers. All of a sudden you just have a showrunner and one person. what happened to the other 6, 7, 8 people that used to be in a writer's room? So the studios can go back and be like, well, we'll give them maybe 2 more and we'll give you only this amount of hours a week. So that's the constant back and forth. And I think that's one of the big ways AI is going to affect as well, or has been, affecting is, we can now take AI and we can do something in 1 hour that used to take 12. So that's I think a big thing, and how that all pans out and tomorrow and a year and 5 years, who knows? I have no idea, and I'm not smart enough to know what's going on behind the scenes with all the legality and the contractual stuff. But I think so. I think it's all connected. I think it's the creative side of it, and it's the legality and the morals and the ethics, and I think everybody's battling in a way that they need to battle, I guess, as far as what they think is right, and I do think that we need to protect people over AI by a million. 100% I'm on the human side of that, and I always will be. You know what I mean? And again, like, I appreciate AI, and I think there's a lot of great stuff from AI. I'm using it. But when if it's legitimately taking away a ton of work from the industry, yeah, I'm not for that. No way.
Well, I think the big fear in that too is that, we're coming from a very unique point of view. You as a creator in the visual media, I've watched your career go from, directing your shorts to many different steps, above and below the line kind of things that you've done through your career. But focusing on the visual, you've got a really good marinating sense of that part of the industry. With me as the composer, the same thing. It's been my whole life doing this, not really dancing in post-production and the capabilities that you do, but still engaging with people like yourself, post-producers and stuff to, source out, source compositions and stuff like that. I think one of the things is that our point of view comes from the human that's actually doing the actual physical creativity. So the discursive conversation is going to be a lot more leaning into the concerns of the future, whereas I'm going to say about 90% of the rest of the conversation that the other billion people in this world are having are kind of a pro-AI thing. Not all of them. I'm not, what I mean is that I'm finding that a lot of people are finding the kind of use for AI that I do. I am a horrible speller. I've got the worst grammar. As a matter of fact, a friend of mine told me that I should, right below my signature, have a little subline that says, "I write good." And but for me now, what has helped me is using AI is with my confidence is when I'm sending out professional emails and stuff like that. And because I have the microphone, at least with ChatGPT, I can talk my email into it. And, plus that's the other thing. One of the things that I've learned for myself is that I have spoken a lot in the mic, or people, sometimes will do it in their cell phone and stuff. And I've learned a lot of unique things. Like if I tell ChatGPT, can you please remember the cadence of my voice? Pick out the unique characters and the way I say certain things. And it's really pretty bizarre because now I can say, I'll do an email and I'll say, can you keep this semi-professional, but please use a lot of my casual tone interwoven in it. I'm going, okay, this thing's not going to get it right. And I'm like, bruh. And it puts it out there. And then, of course, I'm gonna clean it up. I have a friend of mine who's an extremely strict, well, Jeeves, if you have a problem with your grammar, you need to go back to school and you need to learn. I said, no, well, you know what? I understand what you're saying there too, but I don't have the time. I'm at the 3/4 point of my rainbow. At my age now, in my mid-60s, I have 5 minutes, 5 years, or 25 years. I don't know. You start looking at life a little different. I don't know that I want to do that. If I'm going to use, AI as a tool to help me, then that's what it is. But I think when you were talking about the Writers Guild and stuff like that, I think lately I've been seeing people who have been able to take like a summary or a Bible of a movie, and they've tested it and run it through ChatGPT and say, can you make a 20-minute short out of this? And you give it all the prompts. Who are the characters? What do they wear? Where is it located? What is the time and stuff like that? And it's generating, even though I definitely don't know anything about reading scripts, but when it comes to, establishing scene and exit this and I've looked at a couple and I'm going, yeah. That still doesn't mean that it can be produced correctly, directed correctly and stuff like that. Right. But it does seem to be on the path that you take that script, that ChatGPT, or whatever AI you use, and now as companies like Sora or other things start to develop 2, 3, 5 years from now, you could take that whole script, drop it in, and put out something. I think that's
That's the fear.
That's the big concern. But here's something that's happening right now that I'm watching. I go, okay, let's see how this works. Since Sora 2 has put out their new version, this new model, they have not removed the watermark. You know, they have a little watermark that's bouncing around and stuff. But here's what I'm watching. Even though it only spits out maybe 6, 7, 8, 9 seconds of a video, what I'm watching is that as these are been put up on TikTok, especially TikTok, I'm seeing hundreds of thousands of views, which is really what the creator of that doesn't really care about being authentic or anything. They just want to generate ad revs. They can care less if they're hiring anybody, and if this is making it easier. So what I'm doing is I'm studying. I'm just kind of watching, saying, okay, how are the responses? I'm going to check the comments. The comments are going to have to say, this is stupid, this is AI. No, I'm watching the comments actually engage in the actual video. And I'm like going, oh, geez, really? This is what's happening here? So
I think that's meant for like oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I'm just saying. But at the end game, much like the Suno, which is the music or version of Sora, Suno Sora. There's a ton of stuff being generated, and then here the point of diminished returns that I'm seeing so far is the saturation. The saturation of this content going out, whether it be it music and music videos, like, a Motown cover of Tool's Sober, which is out there, it's mind-numbing, is that so much of that now is being pumped out there, it seems to be lowering the ad revs that are being paid out. So there's this point of diminished returns, and now everybody can play in the sandbox, do these little shorts with Sora, or write some music with Suno, pump it out there, saturated. Nobody's even going anymore. Nobody's like the value of what the AI generated stuff is beginning to show in the payouts are less and 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 less because of the saturation.
Yeah, it's kind of aligning itself essentially.
That was just my coffee-driven rant about that, but that's where but I do want to lead you into something.
Wait, hold on.
Oh, go ahead.
Just say something on that if you don't mind.
Coffee.
Yeah, don't forget your question.
Okay.
No, I think you bring up a lot of things. I think there's everyone's got a different perspective, right? Or no, everyone's got a different use, how they want to use and view AI, right? So in my opinion, for Sora 2, because I went on just to check it out, because I was like, oh, this is kind of interesting. Let me see. I feel like, what the cool thing about stuff like Sora 2 is, for someone that couldn't care less about being in the entertainment world, creative, trying to get 1 million views, they just want to show a cool video of themselves or their kid to their family members. So they can go on to something like Sora real quick, put in an easiest prompt. GB drinks coffee in the living room. You get your cameo, as they call it, I think, on Sora, and you can just send it to your family. Like, that stuff's awesome. Like, why shouldn't people be able to do that so easily? That's fun. So for that stuff, I think you have that everyday casual kind of user, right? And then you have people that are trying to do what you're saying, and they're trying to be creators, and they want the easy way out. So they're going, I'm just going to create a video, put it up, and man, I hope this gets millions of views, so maybe I get some ad revenue and never have to work again. That to me is laziness. However, that could be, I'm not judging that, because who wouldn't want to do something like that if it's going to make them tons of money and don't have to work? So I get it. I'm not even judging that at all. And then you have the people that are like on the other side of it, or this side of it, that are just the creators that they're not going to do that. They're going to say, no, I'm going out and I'm creating my own stuff, because I'm not like, in a way, it's almost like, I feel like people think that's plagiarizing, if you will, right? So yeah. It's like, I'm doing my own work. I'm not taking Sora and making a video. So I think you have all aspects of AI. And again, you got to decide where are you when it comes down to what you want to do. So I don't know that there's definitely right and wrong, but I don't know that there's not also just remember, eventually it's going to cannibalize. And I do think that another year, 5, 10 years, whatever, when finally people are kind of burned out from AI, I do think it's going to happen, where now you're going to have people going the other way, especially people that can do it financially. They're going to go, you know what, I'm so burned out from not having authentic product, not knowing what's AI versus human touch and all that, they're only going to buy stuff that's got an artist, and the artist literally signs it like in front of them or something. Or they do it back to the days where that meant something, where artists would actually sign their work. You know what I mean?
Like a speakeasy media vibe.
Right, yeah, exactly. So I think we're going to swing back that way down the road. We're not, I mean, it's going to be a while, because AI still hasn't peaked and all that. I want to, again, off in a side alley, but I think Yeah, man. So
Well,
AI.
I think to roll off of what you said, the one thing that I have been a supporter of when it comes to the use of AI in music, and I know this is going to sound odd, but I've always, there are a ton of poets and lyricists out there that don't have money, they're broke or something, or they've never knew how to hire anybody. Well, today's day and age, there's ways to do it. But in the same context as you were saying, put a face of me to send to the grandkids and I'm drinking coffee or I'm riding a dinosaur or something, for the grandkids. I'm seeing and noticing and also kind of saying, yeah, you should do it just to have fun. Is lyricists, poets, when they learn how to prompt correctly for a song, you should learn how to do that, Put your lyrics in there and just tell them what you want it to sound like, a Dean Martin kind of, sultry kind of song from the 50s and do it in this capacity and it's a male's voice and stuff. I think for the lyricist that just wants to get that song out, I think it's a great idea. Recently, I just saw something too where I was like, yeah, you see, where a wife wanted to just write a song for her husband at a 25th anniversary. So wrote the lyrics and stuff and went on Suno. And it's just a gift. It's a gift for for the husband. And yes, still there's going to be that argument of like, well, that wouldn't have happened if AI didn't train on all this. And that's always going to go back and forth and back and forth. And I've got a ton of music out there that I know that AI is trained on. And I don't know, it's a gray area for me. I mean, even recently, if you can believe it, I got hired again. I thought my career was over, but go hire the young people. They're cheaper than I am. And what he said? He goes, I could have done certain things, but you know what I need from you on this? Two things. He goes, number one, this is all these 20 tracks I need you to write are all acoustic guitar. So he goes, I need your fingers. I need to hear your fingers. I need to hear how you're playing, because if you're a musician, especially a guitar player, it's what your fingers are doing and the fret noises and stuff like that. And the other thing is that he said was, this just has to do with being an old fart composer, is at least for me, he said, look, dude, if I give you a job, I know I don't have to talk to you until I read the invoice, meaning like I've worked with him long enough. But I thought for sure he'd be going for the younger composers that are far better musicians than I am and really care 10 times more than I do. I'm not saying I don't want the work, but as far as like really energized to want to get their career going, I'd much rather see the younger composers get these opportunities to get their life going while I'm just sitting here. I've already kind of cashed out my chips, but just to circle back to the AI thing, it was just a unique thing to hear him say going, no, I just needed to feel, the musicianship.
Yeah, but that brings in a lot of points that not necessarily are spoken about. Maybe they are, but like, there it is, right? There's loyalty. You've done the job for so long efficiently and brilliantly that he's bringing you back in, AI or otherwise, right? So there's the human factor that AI cannot give in a way, right? Like, yeah, of course, AI is consistent. Kind of, right? Not yet completely, but you bring that factor in. And I think that's an important factor when you're thinking about the debate AI versus, if you will, or whatever human is, he's bringing you back because you killed it, you crushed it, and he's being loyal to you. And he wants the human touch of the fingers and the acoustic and all that. So I think that's it, right? So you have to weigh everything in when we're discussing the AI, all of us and the human touch and what's right and what's wrong and what's fair and what's good and blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? And I think it's a hard thing to do. And I also think every time something new comes, everybody gets freaked out, right? We don't like change as humans.
Right,
think about the internet. Wait, what is it? What am I gonna think? Cell phones, and then the cell phones blew up, and then social media. And I mean, I'm the one that's like, oh, social media, no, thank you. Like, I'm that guy for sure, 100%. And then you got to adjust. It's happening, and AI is happening. So you either get on the bandwagon or you don't, or you stay somewhere in between, right? And I think that's a individual choice what they want to do with all that, And I think what you just said about the music industry, I think you guys were the first industry that kind of got the rug pulled out from under them, when it comes to
25 years ago.
Yeah, when it comes to Napster, all that stuff. And then I think production got it, pulled out when we came into the social media and the internet, the errors of those, internet first, obviously, and then social media and creators and influencers. And now post-production's getting the rug pulled out because we're getting outsourced out to different countries and stuff like that. And again, same with AI stuff now as well. So things just happen and progress happens, whether it's, I don't good or bad or however you want to frame it, it's going to happen. So you got to figure out how you want to jump aboard. But
Yeah.
I'm still, I'm very hopeful that no matter what happens, we're still going to have tons of jobs for people. And we're not the only industry that gets affected. Every industry gets affected by different things at certain times, right? We're just in the spotlight right now with
Oh,
AI.
yeah, and the downline and the support of that industry as well. Yeah.
Exactly, exactly. And everybody wants to be famous real quick. So they want to be, an influencer, a creator, and whatnot. And now they really want to get quicker. And now you have AI that's enabling people to just not even do their own work, essentially, and put something out there. And they get lucky with an algorithm, or they're marketing. They're really good at marketing, and they get the marketing, or they're great at speaking. And all of a sudden they get that 1 in a billion shot. You know what I mean? So it's like all those creators that are doing that, they're like a micro percent of anything. There's the millions others that are not getting anything from it. So, I just say that to say it just depends what you're looking for and how you want to approach it, right? So
Well, funny, this is a perfect segue for us because I want to talk about, going 2026 into the big Hollywood machine, or, here in Hawaii, the last 2 years has been pretty heavy, shows that have been cut. We had one that ran one season, just recently got cut. We've had, our slowdown is amplified by the size of the body of our production, below the line support, from actual physical production to the support vendors that are involved in production. But recently, we just had kind of a major tech scouting for a major film. Not going to say what it is, and I don't know that the working title's out there yet. But they're already in action. 5 vans with people in the notes. You know the whole show and stuff. As far as that pre-production thing, I guess hopefully start shooting. I guess somewhere in March throughout Hawaii. You and I kind of talked offline about you're kind of sensing now a little bit of positivity and some shifts, and certain things have kind of settled through this year. You also had mentioned that there were a lot of folks in directly part of the post-production world that you were talking to that had concerns. There were the things that we hear online, which is people like not knowing how to deal with not paying their mortgages. And it's just a big, huge shift that has happened. You kind of mentioned now because there's a few mergers that have already happened, or it's been down long enough and people are feeling a little more safe just coming into and through 2025, everything from global economics to local politics, and et cetera. And when I say local politics, I'm also talking about here in Hawaii. They were supposed to build a production studio out in an area called Ewa. And, the city council or those people were kind of, hemming and hawing about tax breaks and stuff like that. So when I'm saying politics is what I'm talking about. Are you still feeling confident of the comeback of 2026, even though it might have new components to it? Are you sensing with the people that you're talking to in your industry and at that I hate to say it this way, that level, how are you feeling, or what are you hearing, or what is 2026 looking like for Hollywood and the rejuvenation, if you would, of production and stuff?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a big question. I think there's a lot of uncertainty for sure, of economy and all that kind of stuff, which will play in, and there's a lot to kind of unfold there. But yes, I have heard lately more than I have in the last few months that it seems like, for example, the Sky. I think you're talking about the what is it, the Skydance merger that just happened.
Right.
Paramount and CBS and all that stuff. Through the grapevine that they're going to want to do a lot of stuff, right? They're going to want to put their footprint on it since they just merged. When companies take over, they usually want to do a lot more stuff to just say, hey, this is ours now. This is just behind the doors. I know nobody at Skydance, Paramount, CBS that are telling me any of this. This is just what we do behind the scenes when we talk to people we know and people hear things and all that. So take it for what it's worth. But I just want to make that clear. This is all just my opinions. So I think them wanting to do more stuff is a great sign, because I think that will get more people in work. I believe Newsom just did in LA, tax credits, just added some more tax credits and whatnot. So there's some more productions due to that. So yeah, I think I'm hearing more of a good vibe. There's more people I know in post-production that just got work. There's still work out here. It's just a lot of stuff is outsourced other places, or they're shooting other places, more overseas, and the typical places like, Canada and New Orleans. Actually, New Orleans just kind of doesn't have a ton of stuff right now. But other areas, Atlanta and whatnot. So yeah, I think I'm getting a better vibe, but I think we won't know until the year flips. Yeah, I don't know how else to answer that, honestly. The vibe's picking up a little bit, but we're also getting into holiday season, so it's going to slow down. Typically in Hollywood, we slow down once, December-ish comes, and then usually get a couple of weeks off end of December, beginning of January. So I would say around February, it should pick up a little bit, and then hopefully we progress from there. But you also have to, yeah.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say you also have to keep in mind, I can't remember if it's in the last couple of years, we're down like 40% of productions like being shot and done. So like we're already so far behind the eight ball than where we were within the last couple of years. You got to try to catch some of that, right? And a lot of people have moved out, I feel like, of LA, or maybe they've taken the chance to go find another gig and whatnot. So people will probably leave the industry and are leaving the industry right now, which will open up slots for more people. You know what I mean? So, and my friend was telling me the other day I went out with that, what did he say? This was like a week ago. So the last 4 weeks ago, which would be 5 weeks ago now. Sorry, hold on a second. Let me remember this. The last 4 months, sorry. The last 4 months have been essentially the slowest and like worst as far as jobs in Hollywood. And the second worst was the 4 months before that, and the third worst was the 4 months before that.
So what you're really saying is that the chart's going right.
Yeah, so the last year has been, honestly, it's been brutal for a lot of people. And I think that's why people are also so scared of AI, because on top of that, now we have AI people have to combat against, right? So I think, it's a shitty way of answering your question. I don't really have a good answer, but yes, I feel like I've heard some more positive about some more jobs should be starting up like next year, whatever that means, right? So I don't know. I don't know how to answer that. Maybe you should edit this whole section out of this podcast because I don't have a good answer and I was just rambling.
No. Actually, that was a really solid, honest answer, because you're right. I put something out there in the wind that, how can you really have any kind of opinion on it, except based in your case being in the industry and having the conversations that you have with the very close, the people that you work closely with, at the particular level in which you engage business at. And you've worked for Apple and Paramount and all these major companies. So the conversation is probably a little more closer to the truth than, let's say, me. Reading stuff on, or listening to stuff on TikTok. I think the optimism is a wonderful thing for all of us to hang into. But the truth be told, like you just said, which is also mentioned in videos or other podcasts that industry people have had, that weird downward suffering of the last, 9 months, if you would, or 12 months of keeping track. Kind of, I'm trying not to let my mind slip to it, but it kind of reminds me of what happened with Napster and LimeWire, I forget what it was called.
Yeah.
What happened there is that the destruction of the physical sales of music, which was the last frontier with the CDs, right? So as soon as no longer the CD had the same value, you bought one CD to hear your favorite song, which that was the whole catch of the record industry anyhow. And it got disintegrated to, as shitty as it sounded, horrible MP3 sounds at the very beginning, got better. And then Apple opens up the music store and everything. The whole business model disintegrated into what it is now, which has turned into, a whole hellhole for artists, all the way to publishers and writers that own organic parts or owner of masters, if you would. It very much mirrors the same kind of vibe as the visual media world, the Hollywood world, And the thing is that I'm kind of feeling, and I don't want to sound heavy about it, that the disintegration of the CD is kind of like the disintegration of your traditional movie experience, going to the theater, sitting down, eating popcorn and doing all that. And it's now translating into another, which is now the Netflix and the HBO, the online streaming platforms, which in of itself is kind of shrinking a lot of things, maybe not as hard as it did for the music industry. And as long as we have TV, I don't think it's going to be another 10 to 15 years before TV as we know it and shows that are being made for TV doesn't go down the path of UHF, or VHF, UHF. I don't know. If you're old enough in the 1900s, you remember there was that one series of channels that was kind of fuzzy. You barely got, but it got its own kind of programming. That TV goes down that. When I'm talking about TV, I'm talking the traditional NBC, ABC, CBS.
Network, broadcast.
Network. I'm sorry. Thank you. That it's going to be like we're not even writing or producing for that anymore because nobody's really watching that anymore because now those kinds of programming are being found more and more and more and more and more and more and more. And until, let's say, what's after the boomers? Is it Generation X or something?
Oh, I'm so bad at that.
I don't know. As soon as all of us, wow, funky hair. As soon as all of us boomers die off, and then all of us Gen Xers die off, there's not going to be that same attachment to the physical sitting in front of a TV to watch a network show. It's my opinion. You know what I'm saying? It's like it just sounds like a natural run that way, but
I think that's already a fear of network, I would imagine. No, I think you're right. I think that is the natural progression. I think that's probably, if you looked at statistics, again, me speculating that's what's happening. It is the older folks that are watching that because that's what they grew up with. That's what they know, right? So they're used to that, and they like those shows, whether it's the serial like CSIs and stuff like that, or procedural CSIs and stuff like that, or whatever it is, and yeah, I think it's easier to watch something on your phone or your laptop or your iPad, right? It's portable. So, I mean, that's it. And that's what a lot of people are watching it on. So no, I think that's definitely the natural progression of it. And as far as things are always going to progress. And as far as like the theater of it all, I will say I haven't gone to a ton of movies lately, right? Because I fall into that trap myself. I hate to say it, where I could just watch something on my laptop, and I'm not a guy that needs like a huge 70-inch screen and all that. I just never been that person. I think it's great when I see it. Don't get me wrong, it's fun and it's a better image and better pictures, and you can do all that with nicer TVs and all that for sure. Better sound systems, I get it. But I will say this: 100% every time I go to the movie, and I just went 2 weeks ago, I'm always like, why aren't I going to more movies? It is such a million times better experience, in my opinion, especially now with talk about the technology of it all, whether it's an IMAX or whatnot, whatever you're watching, and it's actually shot for that. Yeah, of course it's going to be better, and you're going to see visually things you're not going to see on your laptop, right? So, so I do think the theater experience will never go away, but let's hope it progresses in a way people are going to more movies, so it could continue going in a way that we're seeing as many movies in the theater, if that makes sense, right? And I think that's what that's one of the things like Tom Cruise was fighting for back during strikes and after COVID and all that, we got to play things on the theater. Things are shot and made for the big screen, and I think that's it. It is a hugely different experience. It's tough though, because you go with a family of four, and all of a sudden you're spending $100+ easy for 4 tickets, popcorn, whatever. So I think it's hard. You have that hard push and pull, but that's a whole other conversation.
Yeah, well, no, that financial barrier to entry is truth, especially now more so than ever. I think, but looking at it with a broader kind of lens, what I love about what you're saying is, I think, congruent to this last few years of a lot more people isolating, staying inside, not really having social anxieties because of social media and stuff like that. I think if the theater industry, the movie theater industry, can hang in there just long enough, I think there could be a potential resurgence of people wanting to get out of their house from doing the stuff that they do because of a lifestyle of isolation, because of the anxiety of social media, and the big therapeutic, the psychologists are always saying, you got to get out there, put your phone down, do this, go out there. I think there's going to be a natural kind of movement. I'm hoping. I think there's a part of me is just being an old guy that has roots and wisdom in the 1900s and how it used to be. And you're not near as old as I am, but you still have a healthy memory of what it was like in the 80s and the 90s and stuff, and going out, sure, to movies and stuff like that. So we come from a different place. Whereas yesterday I did pumpkin carving with my grandkids. They've gone to a movie without a doubt, but their total experience are on the different mediums, different size pads, cell phones, or for their giant, 5,000, inch TV they have at home to play their video games. So that's why I'm saying I think the generational thing is going to be, once again, tying in the boomers and the Xers, what might change. I'm just hoping that, as you said, and the rest of the people in the industry are saying that theater does stay around long enough so it can be that place where people can get together and they can gather. But once again, when you said the finances, right now, that's a big barrier to entry, just right now, until the economy bumps, shifts, or something becomes a little more in focus of what tomorrow looks like with the world economy, our own personal expenses and stuff. But yeah, if I go to a movie right now, it's going to cost me a little under $60. Well, wait a second. I'm old enough now to get the senior discount. So it'll cost me around $40, but the senior discount is going to be a fraction of the, but I want the popcorn experience. I want the hot dog experience.
Yeah,
I want to hit the relish out of the pumper. I want that whole experience. And to me, that if you do have financial challenges of sorts, or not even that, I have people that I know that have money. They go, I'll go to the movies, but I don't get food because it's a principle. I'm not paying $14 for a hot dog. You know what I mean?
Or they put something in their purse or their pocket and they eat it.
Yeah,
in there or whatever.
What it does is it manifests itself into turning you into a thief, according to the world of the theater people. But I empathize with the world of theater because it's got an incredible traditional history in how we experience Hollywood. I know that you and your family past also has very unique connectivity to that as well. But I'm hopeful that it does come back because it does have the things that you said earlier. You cannot experience on a laptop or even on your TV with the most badass sound bars what you can sitting in a theater and getting the whole, kind of vibe. So I'm hoping that comes back.
Yeah, well, I think to combine two things you just said in a positive way, because you were trying to do some positive spins early on the industry, is we've been in and are in an era of convenience, right? That's what the iPhone did. That's what the phones. It's just how can we just be convenient every second of our lives? But I think with the isolation topic you were just talking about, ever since COVID, of course, pandemic, whatever, and continued, I think if you merge those two, when are those two gonna meet? Meaning, people are like feeling lonely, and isolated. So they want to get out, like you're saying. Eventually the pendulum is going to swing where more people want to get out. I do believe that. And I think people are already doing that, but I think it's going to progressively get better in that direction, if you will, right? And I think also the convenience aspect of it, I think is going to shift where, I don't know, like I get bored when I have everything right at my feet, to be honest with you. I don't have to leave my house ever, like literally, unless you have to go to work. Like you never have to leave your house essentially. Like I think
hell, you don't even have to leave your house to go to work.
That's true, exactly. For a lot of people, you don't. So I think that's going to couple with the isolation effect where people are like, and it's going to overwhelm them the other way. And they're going to want to get out, and they're going to be tired of watching stuff on their phone or their laptops all the time. Not always, but all the time. So I think that is going to get people back into the seats. And to springboard off the lonely part of that is where I want to go is if you go to a theater, you get to experience the movies with other people, especially for me, comedies and horror movies. It's fun being in a theater, creating that energy. You ever been in a movie and you're watching a horror movie and people are like, no, and you're like in that?
Yeah,
like
sure, yeah.
To me, that's fun. I love when people are getting like into it. No, don't go in that room, stuff like that. I think that's hilarious. So like there's certain kinds of genres, like those two for me, that I love being in theaters for so much, and comedies too. Everyone's laughing, you're creating that vibe, right? So you get to create a different vibe when you're out with hundreds or whatever, people in the theater, and you get to experience it in a different way. So I think if we could get more people out to experience that, I do think people will like to do that. And here's the thing. You start driving the numbers back up in theaters and you start getting people out, guess what we can do now, right? We can lower some prices. Because now the theater owners are, and this is just me, speculating, but like now the theater owners are making tons of money again. Okay, great. So they can lower prices of popcorn from whatever it is, 14 for a bucket to $9, or you know what I mean? So like if we can get out and do more there, we can help ourselves as well. So I think loneliness and comfort, are actually going to turn into everyone wanting to be back out again, if that makes sense.
I think that was such a wonderful expression of what really that energy, that human element, and that energy in the theater. The way you were talking about the horror or the comedy. There's also comfort in the numbers when you're around people who are like-minded, enjoying something that I think is something obviously we don't see when you're isolated. There's no two ways about it. When I watch comedies at theaters, and it's quite a few people, there's an infectious laughing that goes on as well. You know what I'm saying? There's this whole universal, without getting too woo about it, but there's this whole human experience when one of the things that's so joyous is laughter, kicking off that dopamine. Something's really funny. They laugh. Not everyone's laughing. I mean, I've been to watch comedians crush it, and there's always that one guy or gal that's like, but they just forgot to remove that suppository before they went to the show.
They shouldn't be
still,
at that show. Yeah.
Right. I mean, and so it is. That was such a great explanation. And the other thing is just ironically, when you were talking about, how we have become accustomed to our experience on cell phones, laptops, whatever the case is, the irony to that half the time, more than half the time, is what they are watching is people doing stuff outside.
Right. Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's like it's the Red Bull diver off of the tallest mountain or stuff like that. It's like this pseudo experience of like, well, we've isolated ourselves. I'm going to get a sense of what's happening out there through watching this. So, like you say, it's something that trying to prognosticate about it's difficult. We don't know what's happening from time to time. We would have never in a million years maybe thought we'd be in the global condition that we are now on many different levels. You know what I'm saying? Could you have ever imagined that Hollywood would have been this way, or our economy or our politics would ever be in a specific way that it is right now? Good, bad, or indifferent, depending on your belief and how you look at the world. It's like I said, it's hard to prognosticate what the future of media in all forms, as well as music, sound, and visual, could be. But I think because this is the Positive Wave Rider channel, and you brought that back up because I'm glad you did. I started getting a little kind of like, my hopes are that everything that you just said, which was really pretty profound in the way Steve says it, comes to pass. I'd find it heartbreaking, even though I'd probably be dead and gone, within the next 20, 25 years, unless the universe has another weird plan for me. But, I'd hate to see that sometimes when I think of certain movies that have been made that are based out of what these directors and writers see the future of us being in 500 years, that we're living in these little tiny pods on a spaceship, and, the sterility of life is very, sometimes what it may be. We've seen it on Star Trek all the way to more recent, movies and stuff, how people live, So I don't know. I'm like you. I'm extremely hopeful on looking at the world that way, and, kind of align myself with everybody who also led what was the name of that actor that you mentioned? Tom
Cruise?
Tom Cruise. Yeah. Maybe a little bit. You see,
that guy?
Maybe I was drinking that tea in that commercial. I can't freaking remember.
That guy that's been in like one thing. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Well, it's happening.
You're getting old.
Well, I do. My short-term memory has been a bit of a buzz lately. But then I don't know. At my age, I could be many different factors. There are concussions, smoking buds when I was younger. Who knows? Anyhow. Yeah. So before we dig out, though, based on our subject matter or anything like that, and based also that you yourself may or may not go back into the business, even if it's offered to you. You're on your own trajectory that you're seeking, and unless if it's a good project, I think that's wonderful that you get the opportunity. If a project does come, you can pick and choose a little bit. But I also know the sensitivity of your industry and stuff like that. But you are kind of looking at new things that you're doing with your mental health, mental awareness, everything, staying in the confines of our conversation.
Sure.
Of Hollywood media, the people who are stressing everything. Okay, here we go.
So I don't go down a side alley as I do. Yeah.
With your thoughts and the depth of your mental awareness and the things you've been working on, for people who are having anxiety-driven, difficult times and stuff, if you were just having the bro conversation, because you're not a psychologist, you're not you don't have your paperwork, you're just somebody who's what I consider, and why we have really great conversations offline, just really grounded and can have an open-minded kind of conversation. What would you be telling the people in Hollywood that are having these anxieties and stuff? What would you be saying to them to kind of stop them from touching the third rail? if that's a good way to put it, you know what I'm saying? What would you be? How would you kind of at least guide the process of them not touching the third rail of their career when it comes to Hollywood?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a great question, right? I think we're all human and we all go through our stressors and all that kind of stuff, right? So I think for me, I'll just use myself as an example because I know myself, obviously. So here's how I look at it, right? Um, I chose freelance, so I'm going to talk freelance, like, because I think that's what you mean, like people in my position or editors, not people that have the day-to-day stability of like a studio job or whatever, production company, that kind of thing. So I'll dive into freelance. We chose freelance. This is how I just had this conversation actually a little while ago with a friend that doesn't have a job and they're stressing out. Totally get it. But we all chose freelance, and it's really hard and challenging to do freelance. You have to really buy into I might not have a job and I have to dig into hustling to get jobs. Now, yeah, anyone that's in a stable framework can also lose their job. I get that. So I think I would just say, like, remember that we chose freelance, hustle. There's always side gigs you can get. You can go barista, you can go Uber, you can go do things, right? So I think there's all kinds of possibilities that you can do. I sound like my dad now. You can you can pull in your belt, as he would say, and instead of spending $5 a day on coffee at a mom and pop or Starbucks or whatever, don't buy coffee grounds. So I think there's all kinds of that financial things you can do, right? As far as the mental health side of it, yeah, I think you got to really decide, are you okay being in freelance and knowing you're going to go through pockets of time that you may not work for a month, a year, 3 weeks, whatever, even if you're stacking your finances and money, also, like, do you have someone you're married to and they're okay with it and they have a stable job? So, and then when they're out of work, maybe for something, you go back and forth that way. I think there's just, I'll always go into the mindset side of things, like practice your habit stacking, whatever that is for you. For me, like, to keep my mind stable, as stable as I can. God knows it's not always stable. I just try to, I'll do my meditating. I'm going running literally right after this, and I try to get a good support system. My friends like you and my sister and people that have my back. So if I'm going through something, I can make, I make sure that I'm like, shit, I can pick up a phone and go, yo, I'm going through something right now. I need to vent. I need to talk about it. So I have a good support system. Speaking of the mental health side, 'cause I think that's what you asked, is the mental health side of it. I think you just got to continue to keep all of that stuff up while you're in the shit. It's easy to do when things are going great, but when you're out of work or it's been a while or whatever your stresses are, that's when we let down our guards of life sucks and I'm going to stop meditating, I'm going to stop running, I'm going to stop playing video games, whatever your thing is to release your stress. You know what I mean? It's really, really easy to do when things are great, but you need it more when things suck, right? And I think you got to learn how to, really hard thing to do. And I also want to preface, I'm talking about already, but I also want to say, I don't have kids. So when you have kids already, it's way more challenging, and I respect that, right? And that's a choice, and people have kids and people don't. I didn't want kids, but if I had kids, my mindset, I'd have to tweak a little bit for sure, because now I have mouths I have to feed that are kids. So I just want to say that as I continue down to say this. I still think you should do everything I'm saying, and this is my opinion, obviously, but it's a different ride when you have kids for sure. However, or not however, in addition, I'll just say, yeah, so I think you gotta have a really good relationship with money. And what I mean by that is I've had no money coming out of college, and I've been broke, and I've had a good amount of money in my bank account. I've seen all levels of it. A good amount of money. I'm not talking I had like $12 million in my bank account, but a good amount that I'm good for a long time of years and whatever, right? So I've made a relationship with money, though, when I have $0 or if I have whatever in the bank account, I rarely get stressed over money. So I think you have to get a good relationship with money, right? And now it's not to say I don't get stressed over money, but I know how to keep my mind in a way where I go back to my habit stacking. And I'm also fortunate. I have friends, I have family. I can go crash on a couch if I need to. I don't want to do that. I'm not 12 or 15 or 20, and there's nothing wrong with that. I may have to do that down the road. Who knows? So I'm not judging that. And this is going to sound ridiculous. I'll go off into a whole thing now because that's what I do.
Yeah, man, I can always move my guitars and my ukulele and stuff right there, man. That folds out into a bed if you ever need it, bro.
Yeah, but I'm saying, right? That's so. So if it's ever getting tougher for me, I've been out of work now since the beginning of the year. So I haven't worked since December. I'll just put it in perspective. That's a long time. And the beginning part was my choice, but now I'm ready to get back to work and I'm eating in the savings and all that. So I get it. Like it gets scary after a while, and you look to the future and crap. And the medical benefits, are they going to run out in our industry because we have to work a certain amount of hours a year and all that kind of stuff. So it's real stuff. I'm not minimizing anything I'm saying. I'm just saying you can protect yourself a little better from the stressors and the mental health rigmarole that we go through and the ruminating that we all get into when times are tough, right? So
No
do
shit.
things like, I mean, I'm living literally right now in about a 300 square foot crash pad, right? And I had a whatever, a 15, 16, 1700 loft downtown, 8 months ago, and I gave it up because it was a ridiculous amount of money, and like I wanted to travel and visit you and visit people. So now what I do is I'm going to come live in this crash pad because I'm paying significantly less. So I'm willing to do things like that. I don't have a car. I live in Los Angeles. People are like, "Oh, you have to have a car." It's like, no, you don't. I haven't had a car since March or April, and I do this every 4 or 5 years because it also connects me with the subway and the bus, and now I get to see different cultures and people. So it's just, you just kind of you build yourself up for different things, and you have to be willing to take away that comfort that we were talking about earlier in a different way. I'm okay with, this is going to sound ridiculous, so don't hate me, people, but like, I'm willing to sleep in my car if it got to that point, or go camp. And I'll go camp and I'll live in tents for weeks, and it's different when I'm doing it because I'm having fun and vacationing. I respect that and I understand that. But one of the reasons I live in like 300 square foot places and I go camp and you see what I wear. I wear the same two pieces of clothing all the time. It's almost like the old Stoic philosophy of like, go outside and go in tattered, torn clothes so you get used to how things feel in case something happens. So I'm willing to like take away some of that comfort that I have so I get used to that in case something happens. And I also understand, I say that from a state of, I'm fortunate I'm not in that position right now, but that's why I'm doing it now. So if something did happen, I lost everything, my friends went away and all that, I still have to survive somehow. So you can figure out how to do things to help build your mind and your mental health, right? And it's a really challenging thing to do. And I'm not saying I'm perfect at it. I still go through my shit. I still stress. I still have my bad days where I'm, frustrated, sad, whatever you want to say, and I want to just like, right? So yeah, of course. But just get yeah, to sum it up, I guess, get more used to living out of your comfort. Don't spend as much money maybe on things that you don't need to. Have a great support group, habit stack, your mental health stuff. There's a lot of tools that we can do to help when times get tough. And also, like, no matter how much you have, how bad the industry, good the industry is, support other people while they're going through it. If someone's having a terrible time right now and they're getting crushed, reach out and extend to them right now. Yeah, it doesn't matter if you have $20 in your bank account or 100,000 in your bank account. You could always help somebody.
But that is amazing thing that you said there, because there's a fortification in your soul when you're helping people, regardless of your own status. There's some kind of a, I don't know, spiritual alignment that happens when, even though your trash can is not full because you're not doing well. Hang on, I know this is a funny analogy. But you're taking out the neighbor's trash can, it's totally full, and it's got, boxes of food and everything that's in there. But even though you're going out and helping your neighbor take out the trash and stuff, that's one thing. But you take out the other neighbor's trashes and stuff like that aren't doing well, and the kupuna that's down, or the elderly and stuff like that. There's something to be said. Even if I just had the worst phone call or I'm stressed about something, just that 4 or 5 minutes that I walk up and down the block and I help some of the elderly folks take out their trash cans. They know me, they can see me on their little cameras or whatever. And I do, every once in a while, they give me some, some cookies and some stuff like that. There's something about that momentary bit of helping somebody else when you yourself are not, in a good space. I think that's paramount. And also, in alignment with what you were talking about earlier, that I kind of mirror, is the fact that I too never had my own children. Yes, did I get married and she had two beautiful girls, and then I became administrative dad. Now I have 8 grandkids. The math is all off, but I too had this particular unique way of thinking, understanding what it was that I wanted to do with my life as a vendor of service, being what was the word that you used it when we casually take jobs? I'm thinking the word renegade is in my head because that's what it seems like. But when you're a vendor of services that have to do with just getting hired a job at a time, that there was going to be something that I would have to sacrifice if I wanted to be not so stressed. And I understood that to be, I may not get married, I may not have my own children, but that kind of had a little bit of that. So to be able to identify that with you is a really super cool thing. But in the same token, for you to also have it mentioned, knowing that so many people don't have that luxury, if you would, if you want to call it a luxury, or that different path of thinking, they do have the children. They did get them into, good schools. They live in big houses, good houses, healthy houses, not even good, just they've carved their whole life based on, their survivability on an industry that can be wishy-washy, even when you get extremely well known at your job and you're the best at it. You just hit a switch and it all changes. I mean, that could, like you said, that could happen in any industry per se. But when you're doing this kind of work, you do have to have that kind of gatekeeping kind of mentality. And I also believe everything that you're saying too is something that can be learned, but not everybody has the skill set to start from that point. You know what I'm saying? It's easy to say don't buy, $8 worth of coffee and muffin every morning, or don't do these things that you habitually have gotten into because you enjoy it. It's part of your regime, if you would. Now, if you change that part of the regime, it really can throw your chi off kind of vibe. But I think there's some of us that can grow to learn the process that you've just talked about, to understand, to see in the future. Like when you just said, hey, I might live in a car. Don't think for 1 second that myself has not gone through that process. Like, okay, what happens if I can't work anymore? What would I do? How would I do this? What would I do? Oh, I know what I could do. I could do this. I got no problem sleeping here if I do this, because I see myself getting out of it. I don't see it as being an end. Like I've gotten to here where I'm just now, sleeping in a closet per se, a really small place, going from a large place or whatever. And then that's it. I'm doomed. This is my life. I just see it as a momentary part of a journey that I'm here. What do I do to get out of it? I think what's important about what you're saying in this long semi-coffee driven rant here is that if you keep the activity and the creativity and the positivity moving forward in your mind, you already have the jet fuel to take the next steps. If you stop that, and if you decide to sit in a resolution of like, I'm done, it's over, I'm homeless, I'm this, I'm that, then you don't have any more fuel to want to get up and take the next step, to see what the journey, excuse me, of the future is going to look like. So it's a very unique thing, but
I think it's challenging, man. I think life's challenging, and I think we all, no matter who we are, we all go through, shitty times and amazing times. Literally every one of us. We're all people, right? And the rug can get pulled out from any person at any time on the planet. I don't care if you have zero money or $1 billion, right? So you got to be prepared if that's going to happen. And again, we chose freelance, right? So
freelance, that's the word I was looking for. Sorry, freelance.
That's all right. And I'm not minimizing anyone or anything anyone goes through. Some people are dealt better DNA hands and better cards, and some people, so there's people that start in a probably a better platform in a better space, right? Or have a trust fund growing up, or whatever the case may be, right? If we're talking financially. So I'm not judging or minimizing, but I think there's things we can just do to help. And I think the service one is that's a beautiful thing. I just want to ping it back in real quick into that service thing. Like, so here's just one example. And I say, if you have, I think I said like something like, if you have $1 or $10, or if you have hundreds of thousands, you can always be of service. And it's pretty much science, right? It's proven that when you help others, you're helping yourself. And not in a way that you're even looking to go do that. But who cares? If you are, you are, whatever. If it's helping someone else and you're feeling good, that's a beautiful thing, right? So I literally was on the going to take a bus the other day. I think it was like a month ago or whatever. And I shit you not, there's an unhoused person, homeless, and they're on the street. and there's someone about to get on the bus and they're looking through their money and they didn't have enough, they didn't have enough to go on the bus. I shit you not, the person that was homeless got up and handed that person $1. I mean, come on, man. That's humanity.
Wow.
That's homeless. That's not homeless. That's not homeless. That's humanity. And that's a homeless person or an unhoused person that's showing us like how to live, man. Like, come on. The dude's on the street, literally like tattered and dirty, has what we would perceive as nothing, and is giving $1 to somebody so they can get on a bus. So anyone ever saying they don't have enough to do something, no, that's not true. Now, it might be challenging and difficult to do something, but this, I mean, come on. So I just say that to say it's all about giving. It really, really, really is about service and giving. And I'll say the same thing I probably said last podcast we were on together, is like, we're put on this planet to help other people and help the younger generations get through it. 100%. 100%. That's what we're here to do, in my opinion. You know what I mean? And if somebody that is living on the streets is handing off probably their last $1, maybe they had 2 or 3, you know, to somebody that can so they can ride the bus, someone else, like, come on, man, we can all do it. Right. And that's a choice. So I just say that to say, no matter what you have, you can always, you know, help others, and we can always be better for others and better for ourselves, you know, and that's a beautiful fucking thing. You know, that's somebody that has nothing, literally nothing. Not the people that are like, oh, I'm dirt poor and I got nothing. And yeah, sure. Again, not judging, but are you? Or do you still have 20 grand in your bank account or 600 in your bank account, which is not, I get it, 600 is not a lot. But like, yeah, man, just be at service and connect with people and just keep the hope going. Because yeah, you're right. If you get once you get into depression, and once you get into holy shit, my life's fucked, it's hard to get out. But if you can stop yourself from ruminating and spiraling into that before you get into that, it's a little bit easier to maintain. And that's where I think being in service and habit stacking and doing things and setting yourself up as best as you can for success, and leaning on people and asking for help, which I'm shitty at. So like, there's a lot of things I suck at. Seriously, there's a lot of things I'm bad at.
You're not that bad at it. I think you're just selective on who you're asking help from.
Maybe, but I'm saying like, so like, I get it. Like, there's a lot of things I got to work on too. So it's like, if you work on those things, and we can all just get better and maintain our mental health a little better. And I think that all goes hand in hand. Did I just freeze up?
No, you're still there. You're good.
Hello.
Maybe
hello. Can you
I
hear
froze
me?
you, but you're fine. Well,
like
anyhow,
you can hear me.
Oh, I can hear you though. Don't worry about it. There you are.
Okay, cool. So yeah, I just think all that stuff goes hand in hand, man. I don't know.
Well, I think that's actually probably the most perfect way, you know, to end the podcast, in that very positive messaging that you have, which for me as your friend, it's been a really super cool thing to watch. Your spiritual, soulful transition, everything you've talked about in your life, I've been lucky enough to be a part of by being your friend and watching you and listening as we do for both of each other. I think, you know, hearing you say the things that you say right now is just kind of that just incredible amalgamation of everything that I've heard you go through, watch you go through, you know, the shifts in your careers and everything, and your decision to go back into, you know, Hollywood, and then before when you left it and you did, you know, other things. And once again, maybe making another transition again, you know, so those words of wisdom that you said were very profound for me to hear. There's a duality to it. What you were saying was very cool. But for me as your buddy, I was like going, bruh, all right. He just had his Obi-Wan Kenobi moment there. And continuing growing. But anyhow, listen, Steve, I can't thank you enough for joining me again. I appreciate it. I know it'd been a few months since we did the last podcast. And, you know, I'm hoping have you maybe out here January, February, unless of course you decide to take some work if it's offered to you. But I just want to say thank you very much, bro, for hanging out and for your kind words of wisdom. And also, most of all, I think everything that you said, there's a very unique vision and a view because of everything I had mentioned earlier with the whole energy of the Hollywood thing as a human experience, or lack thereof, because we were talking AI. Anyhow, listen, thank you so much for everything, Steve. Hey, everybody, if you guys want to see the podcast we did earlier where he talks about habit stacking and we kind of go back and forth, but he was actually out here, there's going to be a link down below. So that's my story and I'm sticking to it. Steve, take care of yourself, buddy.
You too, and thank you. I just want to say before you cut off, thank you very much. I appreciate always chatting with you and putting out this platform and the safe space because, it's always great to come on and just shoot the shit with you and, kind of just, do what we do. I feel like this is what we do offline, and it's nice to be able to do it online with you. And I appreciate the kind words right back at you. You're doing a lot of good work out there, and the service aspect of it. And I know you've went out and done a lot of stuff for the community as well. So thank you for doing all that and keep doing it. And yeah, man, I'd love to get back out there. So hopefully beginning of the year, and we could do more of these things. So yeah.
All right. Super cool beans. All right, everybody. We're saying aloha. See you guys later. All right.
See ya.